our segment. Good on you, Glenn, for I don't know how quick your turnaround was from the airport to get home, but you're there, you're getting ready for tomorrow night. Very intriguing matchup. But last night, what I asked this was I'll ask the same lead-in question that I asked Farhan. Did you learn anything from either team last night that you possibly didn't know?
That is a good question. Well, I think, first of all, with the Riders, clearly they're going to be committed to the run. That was a question for me. I mean, not even when Ouellette went out, Bertrand Hudon kept it, kept that running game alive, had 2 touchdowns. So, Mueller was not going away from his commitment to the run, which I think is important because so many OCs don't do that. So that was something I saw. It took a while for, not a surprise here, but it took a little bit of a series or two for the defense to kind of find its way early on. That first drive by Drew Brown was, textbook, really, just textbook.
Dissected that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the known stuff. Trevor Harris, when he wants to go after a defense and you try to play zone against him, and he just picks you apart. Pick your poison with the guy. A couple times Ottawa tried to blitz. He threw right into the teeth of the blitz and completed passes. Sam Emilus, big game. You talked about flag. Sam Emilus got to be on our flag team, our national flag team. I'm just saying. Anyway, he's such a smooth route runner, guys. What did I pick up? I think Mitch Picton is ready to take another step in his development. I just, it wasn't a big numbers night for him, but it was some clutch second down catches, second down conversions, and he's got a bit of an air about him that it looks like he's got another level of confidence there, and I think we could see some bigger things out of him. Shane Ray was a guy I was watching for the Riders. And there were a couple of off-the-edge one-on-one rushes that it was a wow factor for me. Now, I didn't get always to the replays of those. Sometimes we were going in a different direction. The producer would take us somewhere else. But I saw a couple of times where, man, he can be dominant. So I'm looking for big things from Shane Ray this year. He's got the great NFL resume and everything else. So. But you asked what surprised me. There weren't a lot. It had its moments. I think the second and the third were big for the Riders. The first, it took them a while to get their feet under them. They did that. I didn't see any discipline issues for them. Did for Ottawa, but certainly not for Saskatchewan. That's good news. Hate to see the injuries, guys. Just hate to see them, but, we got to stop mourning them too. The guys understand what they signed up for. They're going to get treatment. They're going to be back. And in the meantime, that's why you build depth on the team. That's why you build depth in the offseason. Yeah.
Well, offensive line, we've talked about it last year. I don't know, what did we go through last year? Like a Costco-size offensive line backups, right? And now already we're on like number 5's down already. We got Gagnon's gone. The guy we signed from Calgary's gone. Now this kid's gone. Brammer's got a bad back. Like I can't.
Peyton Collins. Oh, that's what you're saying.
Collins. Yeah. I can't give Jeremy O'Day enough credit for the guys he's brought in to continue to make that offensive line good.
Yeah, and maybe that was one of the surprises for me, Sharky, was the Peyton Collins playing left tackle. And it was a surprise, not because I watched him a ton. I mean, I did ISO on him a couple times and take a look at him, and he was holding his own and then some. I mean, he went up against, either Bryce Carter or Lorenzo Malden. And that you're talking about with Malden, you're talking about a perennial all-star.
Yeah.
So this for his first start, and he's 23, 24 years old. I mean, if we're not talking about him, it's a good thing. It's kind of like a DB. If you're not really talking about him, it's because he's covering his guy and there's no big plays behind him. But offensive line, it's even more so. You don't talk about them on the broadcast. It means that they're doing well. And there were times. I mean, how many times in that game did Trevor Harris get hit hard.
No.
One. The interception.
Yeah.
That's
right in his face. Yes, absolutely. But other than that, pretty clean game.
Yeah,
it's like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning back in the day. Anthony Calvillo never really got hit. And if you're not talking, that whole thing where you're not talking about it, you're just doing your job, you're doing a good thing. That's like being married, boys. That's like being married, right? Up and down your wing or whatever it is.
Stay in your lane.
Puck out of the zone. Don't cause any trouble. Don't want coach yelling at you in the locker room. Okay. This is good. I circled this one on the Prairieland Rentals text line. Dion from Regina brought it up. Harris looked great, but Ottawa replaced their whole secondary this year for the worse. Wait until the Riders face a real D and backfield. What's your comment to that, Glenn?
Well, my comment to that is he's right on the secondary. Their secondary from last year is completely different. All five different this year. So that's true. But their front seven is not. And I mentioned their D-line because their D-line, on paper is as good as anyone in the league. Their linebackers were Santos Knox in the middle, Adarius Pickett at one of the linebacker spots. Those are veteran guys. So they have a really good defensive front seven. So, I hear you. There's going to be better defenses that they face, and you got to keep evolving. But you also are game planning about what you see in the moment and attacking what you see in the moment. Like C.J. Colton for the Ottawa Redblacks on the corner, there was a whole series where Trevor Harris was just throwing it underneath to Myers, and Colton was playing about 15 yards off and was basically out of the picture. And Trevor took advantage of that. So the question is right. They are young. Trevor, the veteran quarterback, took advantage of that secondary being a little young, especially on the outside. And the next game, maybe it's a linebacking core that is the weakness of a defense or the inexperience in the defense, and that's where they want to attack it. And then you'll see a different style of offense go after, more crossing routes, things like that. So, screen plays where you get it to your back or to one of your receivers, and then the only guys that make those plays are usually the linebackers. So if you're playing against a team with weaker linebackers, that's where you go after. And I think every game plan will change. So it's a right observation, but that's the job of the quarterback and the offense. Find the weaknesses, find the inexperience, and go after them. If you got rookies on the corner, test them. That's why everyone was, groaning. I heard a lot of groans. By the way, it was great to be back in Mosaic to kick it off with that big Canadian flag. The flag that is as big as the field. Absolutely loved it. But, when that first series happened for Trevor Harris and they went 2-0 and he went deep on the second down play and it was incomplete, like it looked like Schaefer Baker he was supposed to bend in and he didn't, or maybe Trevor threw it to the wrong spot. But either way, whoever was at fault there, it was just a incompletion. I said on the air, it's never wrong to test the defense, especially a young secondary, deep, early. Even if you don't complete it, you plant a seed in the DB's mind. You know what Matt Dunnigan used to tell me before every game when I played against him? He used to walk over, say hi, and then he'd say, you know what? You never go wrong when you go long. Keep that in mind. And I'd walk away going, oh, you're getting ready to sling it deep on us. I swear, I would go back and look at the film. And
he'd throw underneath all day.
Yeah, well, and sure enough, I was instead of lining up at 10 yards deep, I was lining up at 12.
Yeah.
And I thought, he planted a seed on me, and I'm not going to let that mind game happen again.
Yeah. We gotta play poker with Glenn. Sometimes that's what we got. That's what we got to do.
All in, Glenn.
Next time you're in town, Glenn, let's set up a table at the Hotel Sask. Okay, I caught this. Speaking of groaning, this is so funny. Listen to Coach Mace in our post game on the Rider Broadcast Network. Listen to him when Dave Thomas mentions that, hey, you know what? Defense played pretty good even though you gave up 400 yards. Listen, this is funny.
Up 400 yards in passing today, but I don't know if that number is truly indicative of the way the game went. I thought your defense was pretty good. What did you see?
It's we got some stuff.
That's so good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's the coach saying, okay, we got the 2 points. That was the goal. Now let's get and regroup on defense. I mean, over 400 yards. But here's the other thing. If Ottawa kicks a field goal just before the half and they had a chance, that Justin Hardy catch, if he goes down right when he catches it, they're in field goal range and probably have 1 or 2 seconds left to kick a field goal. So that's 3 points there. And then at the end of the game, there was a couple of other decisions that, could have turned into another 3 points. It was a one-possession game in the end, and there were a couple of opportunities that if Ottawa takes advantage of those, we might have sort of the miraculous finish. Oh, I know what it was. It was Drew Brown had the ball with minute 20. He had the final possession with a chance to win it.
Yeah.
And defense came through, and that's where Jameer Thurman made the sack right down the middle, which was a huge play. That's that when you give the offense the ball in a one-possession game in the CFL, they can make it turn it quickly. Hey, one unsung hero for me in the game, and I'm sure you guys have talked about him, or certainly the post-game guys did. Mario Alford.
Yes.
I've said many times that it doesn't have to be a touchdown. We all love those. And the 80-yarder where he beats everybody and flies down the sideline.
Field position, baby.
Absolutely. Barney, especially when Ottawa scores and they go up by 7 and Mario Alford takes it back to midfield, all of a sudden the whole team feels better. And probably the stadium too. They go, oh,
we did. We did.
We're right back. Yeah. We're right back at it, and we're a first down away from at least a field goal and maybe more. So his big returns in field position, so important. I think he was one of the unsung heroes.
Do you think he played with? Do you think he played with a burn under his saddle based on everybody was talking about this new kid that was coming in, was going to be the next answer, and Mario was being nice to him, saying, run the ball here, do this. Do you think he kind of went, all right, now time for you to sit on the practice roster. The big boys are going to play.
Well, sure. The best way to motivate a player is to put a really good player on the depth chart behind him. I mean, You can make all the speeches you want. You can get them riled up. You can challenge them verbally. You can push them on practice. The best way to get the most out of every player is to have that guy behind him on the depth chart be as good as him or better. And you're the veteran, so it's still your job. But if you slip, this guy's going in.
He's ready.
I guarantee you Mario was thinking that. And he was, it's not something you're consciously out going, I got to beat this guy out. You're concentrating on the game. But there's that extra fire where you say, hey, and here's the thing about returners. Returners lose their game not because of age or anything like that, or injury with, when you're talking like running backs or something like that. But returners lose their game when they lose their fearlessness. I mean, you think about catching a punt, 12 guys bearing down on you, and you're going full speed the other way, they're coming full speed this way. I mean, that takes it. You have to be fearless to be a great returner. Hit the hole full speed, and if it's there, great. If it's not, you get whacked. And that's, Mario still got it clearly because he was the unsung hero of that game to me.
It's like walking home from Dudney Avenue these days. Be fearless. You gotta be fearless. Like what?
Well, I was going to go off football here. Can I go off football now?
No, I want to ask one more thing.
Okay, you asked football.
We got about 3 minutes left here,
okay.
Glenn.
Okay.
But I said it before, and you've seen it in the league, where a guy maybe has a little bit of a coming out party, a little bit of like, national audience, the only game season. What a time for Thomas Bertrand Hudon to go off.
Loved it.
But you know what? Like I'm saying, like you've seen it where it's like I think we're going to be talking about this guy for quite a few years. If he stays healthy, knock on wood, not just with the Riders, maybe he ends up somewhere else. I think he's that guy that we're going to talk about for the next 5 years. Something I don't know why. I just feel that.
Yeah, well, you can tell by his confidence level. I mean, even on smaller runs like 1 or 2 yards, he was getting up, and the potential was there. And remember, there was a 30-yarder, 35-yarder that was called back for a
40-something, low 40s.
Yeah. So when if you add that to his totals, he had a monster game. Again, he was the other unsung hero of the game. But I think he can be a keeper, and the only thing that's holding him back from being a regular player is opportunity. And he's got a great mentor right now too, by the way, a Canadian star running back in Andrew Harris. And honestly, we talked about it in the booth. I saw a little bit of Andrew Harris in his running style. He's still Bertrand Houdon. He's still himself. He's still his style. But I saw a little bit of that patience at the line of scrimmage, kind of taking the ball, taking a hop step, and then hitting it. And he created a lot on his own too. I thought he had a great game, and I'm happy for him. It's excellent.
Glenn, it's interesting you used the word fearless. And today is the 81st anniversary of one of the greatest events in the history of the world that you got to be at that location. Not to be a part of it, but at that location. Your thoughts to share on Juno Beach and the history and the anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah, I thought about that this morning. I sent the guy I went to travel to Normandy with, I sent him a text. I sent him a picture of us standing on the beach. And Sharky, it reminded me of standing, it was low tide because we checked in the history books that it was low tide when they attacked. And the reason for that was the obstructions that the Germans had put in on the beaches, those big metal crosses that the landing boats were getting hung up on if the water was too deep. So they wanted to wait for low tide before the invasion started. And we went out there in low tide. And I looked at how far it was from the water's edge to where they would have to get to find any type of shelter or cover. And honestly, it felt like miles. I just looked at it, and you almost get emotional thinking, when those doors open, these 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old young men that hit that beach were completely open to all of that German fire, and they kept going, and they liberated that country, and they liberated that. The Canadians were the first to liberate in Normandy on Juno. The Canada House is still there if you go see it. I hope everybody still and will always, remember the greatest generation, because you get emotional standing there looking at it thinking, that's courage. That's courage.
Yeah, that's fearless.
Running for a touchdown is great, and it's fun, and it's awesome. But courage is what those guys did. That's what courage is.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
appreciate
well put. That. And we both were waiting to ask you about that today because you were just there. It was awesome. All right, busy one. Snoop Dogg on Saturday. Why does everyone laugh as soon as I say Snoop Dogg? Why has everyone got to laugh? I'm a big fan. I talked to Farhan earlier. I said I want to know the set list.
Yeah, well, Marty, I was funny because I asked Rod last night. We did a promo of the game, and I asked him on the air. Like I didn't plan this. I didn't tell him in advance. So I asked him on the air. I said, "What's your favorite Snoop Dogg song?" Because we're going to Vancouver next, and he actually had an answer. Like he was immediate with a song that he goes, "Oh, I'm hoping he's playing this one." And I was like, "No, I was asking you the question so sarcastically we could say I don't know any Snoop Dogg songs. It's for a younger generation." But honestly, as you mentioned, I know I'm going to know them all. Over 50,000 sold for the game tomorrow night. Can't wait. 2 Canadian quarterbacks going at it. I'm going to mention that every time.
Yeah, love it. All right, I'm up north at a golf tournament next week when we chat, so you'll be with Maz and this guy and a little bit of everybody else. But we'll catch up in a couple weeks' time. Glenn, have fun Saturday night, and roll one for me, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Press coverage with Glen Suitor.